Nuevas Ritas, new friends. It's amazing to be back. I was at this event speaking 3 or 4 years BC, before Corona. Great fun. Well, not COVID. COVID wasn't great fun. But to be here was great fun. This is going to be the topic of today. How do we increase our influence and charisma by using the 3 communication superpowers? Ooh, there's so much to do with that. Let's talk about one story I have around that one. I was with my family to a car dealer to buy a car. How many of you work in the car industry? Let's see if I have any. A couple of them. Okay, cool. So I came there with my sons, 2 sons, small at the time. They're with me, by the way. We're going to do Old Town later on. So now they're this big. But they were small kids at that point, my wife and I. It was in the afternoon, about 5 p.m. Everyone was tired. We came in to the car dealer, and the guy who treated us, the salesperson, he just said, "Hello, welcome," with a nice, warm smile. And then he said, "You look like you can need a drink." And he went to the fridge, and he brought out 2 Coca-Colas for us grown-ups and some lemonade for the kids, and gave them to us. I took the bottle, I looked at the bottle, then I looked at him, and I said to myself, I know exactly what is going on right now. This is a manipulation technique. It works like this. If you give something, like a Coca-Cola, or if you go to the grocery store and you get a piece of bread, with some butter on it, you buy the whole loaf. You know how it is? Exactly that is what it did for me. So I'm standing there with this Coke in my hand, and I'm thinking, I know what you're doing. Ha! How many of you think that I actually bought the car afterwards? Give me hands up if you think I bought the car. Of course I bought the car. I talked to my wife afterwards, telling her, he was manipulating us. And she said, "Why did we buy the car? He was nice. I liked him." And he was nice. I did like him. He had this phenomenal kind of energy going on that some people call charisma. Charisma is that invisible energy that people are drawn to. If you have charisma, they want to be around you, they want to listen to you, they want to buy from you. I've been doing a lot of studies on human communication, and it turns out that charisma and communication is very closely interlinked to each other. So within those 30 years that I've been working with this area, I come up with 20 communication insights for a great workplace, especially when you work with colleagues and customers and how you serve them and so on, but also 3 communication superpowers. And those are the ones I'd like to share with you today, so you can also increase your charisma. Could that be something for you? Do you want to be more charismatic? Say yes if you are. Yeah, okay, cool. Here's the thing. Some people think that you cannot train this. It's a gift. It comes from the Greek word gift, like a God's given thing. Oh, if I only had charisma like that person, I would be so much better in my role as a sales manager or a salesperson. Let me give you a statement right now. I can train you to be more influential and charismatic. I can coach you to be that. If you're interested, let's talk in the break. It is absolutely possible because it is a trainable skill. But let's look now at the 3 communication superpowers. And if you want to, this is where you take a picture. This is what I'm going to spend most of my time on. Energy, empathy, clarity. You have them up, all of them up here right now. And let's go one by one and talk to them one at a time. Let's start with energy. Energy so that your customers believe that you believe. Why should they if you don't? And energy is like a magnet. People are drawn to you if you have energy. How many of you have visited Old Town in Vilnius? Give me a hands up if you have. Many of you, right? I will go there tomorrow. And I will see some of the restaurants. Some of the restaurants will be busy, music, laughter, fun. And then some of the restaurants will be completely dark and empty. Now the question is, which one would you like to go to if you have a chance to? If you want to go to the place where they have music and laughter and fun, give me hands up now. If you want to go to the empty place, give me hands up now. Usually 2 or 3 engineers go here. They calculated that they will get food quicker if they go to this place. And it is true, they will get food quicker, but they will also get food poison quicker if they're here. It's like my parents, they told me they went to Crete one time on a vacation. And my mother said, let's go here, let's go here. And then my dad said, no, let's go here. And then they went to this place. And then they went 200 meters afterwards, stopped at the fountain and puked for 2 hours. And then they got divorced. I guess that might be the reason for it. Energy is mostly visible in your non-verbal communication. That is how you look and how you sound. So let's do one experiment right now. I have found that the difference between looking arrogant or normal is only 1 inch. How much is an inch? 2.54 centimeters, to be exact. Clarity here. So let's do this. Just turn to each other and say, hello, what a lovely day this is. And then you say it one more time, but this time you lift your nose up 1 inch. Try it now. Feel the difference. Go ahead with your neighbors. All right, I'm pretty sure you got it. Small things makes a big difference in the world of communication. And can you imagine that you have been doing this throughout the whole pandemic when you put your laptop in your lap? I'm so tired of looking at all these untrimmed nostrils. Like, oh, man, can't you stop? That's just one of many non-verbal communication clues. Many of the people I train, salespeople, sales managers, executives, and so on, they start off with a very limited body language. Have you seen anyone looking like this when they talk? Or they wash their hands? Or they roll their meatballs? Have you seen that? Or they do this, or perhaps this, and that's it. A very limited body language. Some people have a very flat, monotonous voice. Nothing happens. It's like blah, 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 blah. But then when we work on it, all of a sudden they can control their energy. And they have much more fun when they present their products and their solutions. And it shows. And the customers love it because they want you to be passionate. They want you to believe in the products and solutions you sell. That's why energy is so important. It's like this. Imagine that you have a traffic light in your brain and your customers have another traffic light in their brain. And if it's red, they will not buy. If it's yellow, they are thinking about it. They are exploring. And if it's a green light, they will buy from you. So what can you do in that case? What can you do in that case to make them go from a red light problem to a green light solution and a green light trust in you? Well, energy is a big part of that. Having that right type of magnetism, showing that you're really passionate and you care about the topic. Do we get the idea about energy? Yes? The rest of you? Yeah, okay. Sorry with me. Cool. That's energy. Let's move on to empathy. Empathy. So that your customers feel that you get them, that you are present, that you are attentive, that you listen, not to respond, but to understand. Big difference, of course. Empathy is this superpower that if you give it like a gift. You will never get the time back. So it is a gift. Like right now, this day and the time you have with me right now, you will never get it back. So hopefully I can give you something valuable then, so we can work on that. And I remember one of my clients working in the real estate business, renting out office space and apartments and things like that. They had a real problem. They had a real problem with their tenants, with their customers, because the customers didn't like them. So we worked on empathy specifically for a while, and then they came back and said, hey, this is fantastic. They like us now, and all we do is to listen to what they say. And you know what? We like them too. So it goes like a positive spiral when they start to like each other. And of course, if they like you, they will want to stay with you, because that's how it works. My statement is that this is where you win the business. This is where you win the business. Not at the end of the conversation where you have your cool, clever closing techniques. This is when you win the business. This is when you build that loyalty in, both with your team and with your customers and so on. Because this is when you show that you're there to serve, having the servant mentality. I even say you get the customers you deserve, serve in bold letters. And with empathy, that works. The problem with empathy is that it is the most fragile of the superpowers. It's so easy to lose empathy for two reasons. One, if you feel that you have a higher status than the customer, for instance, if you feel that you're above, that you're better than them, you lose empathy. And if you lose empathy, they don't want to be with you anymore. They don't want to work with you, they don't want to buy from you, they just don't like you anymore. The other reason why it's a problem is that if you feel too stressed, you also lose empathy. How many of you feel that you are stressed sometimes? Give me a hands up if you feel that you're stressed. Me too. And I know that when I'm stressed, I don't listen anymore. I don't have the energy to listen. I just say, let's just do it and then move on. So I become, well, not so nice when I'm too stressed. And I guess that most of us have felt that sometimes as well, right? It is a superpower, and it's an important superpower. Again, as I said, this is probably where you win the business even. Then we have clarity. If empathy is for you to understand them, clarity is for them to understand you. How many of you work in the IT industry? Give me hands up. How many of you work as management consultants? Give me hands up. You know, I have found that some of you would really like to make your solutions and your communication complex. Like, this is very complicated, so you have to pay me a lot of money. I get it, but my advice to you is that keep the communication simple, even if the solution is complicated, because then they will feel smart. If you can make your customers feel smart, they will follow you anywhere. Anywhere. And by the way, if they can remember what you say, all of a sudden they can act on it. People cannot act on what they don't remember. Just think about that. If all they can remember is that you were there and you were cool, but they can't remember what you said, what can they do? They cannot even buy from you because they don't remember what you said. So I'm going to give you three out of at least 25 memory hacks that I found that can help your customers remember what you say. So let's go for them one by one. The first one is use metaphors in your language, especially if you work with complex systems and processes and so on, because this takes it from the abstract to the concrete. If you work in telecoms, for instance, and you talk about 5G to somebody who is not as initiated as you are, they don't understand the technology. But if you say that this is like a super fast highway with super fast cars, they understand the concept. And charismatic people uses 50% more metaphors than the average person. 50% more. Because it helps them realize and make it concrete instead of unfamiliar and abstract. The second one is storytelling. Storytelling is borderline magic. I don't know how much you will remember after my presentation. You will have so many today, so many great speakers coming after me. What will you remember? Perhaps you will remember me standing there saying, I know what you're doing. Because that's the story. Even if they don't agree on every fact you have, everything you say, they cannot shy away from a story. It's so powerful. It's so powerful indeed that you can increase your price if you have a story connected to your product. The value of the brand goes up, the price goes up of the product because you have the story connected. Yesterday, I bought the most expensive backpack I've ever bought. Hundreds of euros. Why? Because I followed this backpack nerd's journey from the first draft to finally going out on Kickstarter. So I actually didn't only buy the backpack, I bought the whole story, the whole experience when he talked about how he did all the different changes in the backpack. I mean, it's ridiculously priced for me, but I bought it anyway because I wanted to get that story behind it as well. I have it. Storytelling, fantastic. And not that complicated really if you start working on it. This is something that you absolutely should use in most of your sales presentations for sure, because that's what people will remember afterwards. Finally, let's see if we can get that up again. There we go. Use the power of 3. People remember things in triads. Let's give a couple of examples on that one. I've saved a couple of them. Let's see if we can get them up here. Here we have a number of things. Which fairy tale was it that included 3 wishes? Anyone who knows? Shout out if you know this one. Aladdin, exactly. The genie, Aladdin, 3 wishes, not 5 or 6 or 7. And of course, the big bad wolf chased the little piglets. You have Goldilocks with the 3 bears. You have Jesus with the 3 temptations from the devil. It's all there every time. And then you have Alexander Dumas who wrote a book about the 3 musketeers. But they were not 3 musketeers, were they? Why are we so mean to D'Artagnan? He's the only name I remember. Still, we don't have him there. And the same here. Let's see if you can help me fill in the blanks here. Blood, sweat, and tears. Only 5 people knew this one? Tears, exactly. Blood, sweat, and tears. This was actually Winston Churchill, and they said blood, sweat, toil, and tears. Nobody remembers toil. We stick with the 3 body fluids instead. That's easier. Vene, vidi. Exactly. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. You got it. Exactly. We remember in 3. I have one more. You see these ones? The 3 communication superpowers are back again. I chose 3 for a reason. I have 2 sons. Last time I was here, I talked about my youngest one, Milton. Now, let me just share a super short anecdote of Elliot. Elliot is the math genius going to the technical university to be an engineer and all that. Already when he was a very small kid, he knew the whole thing about calculus. But when he was really young, he tried to count. And then he said, 1, 2, 3, many. Because that's how the brain works. As soon as you go beyond 3, you have a cognitive overload of the brain and they cannot remember anymore. So keep yourself to the power of 3 and you will be in a really good place for them to remember what you said. There we go, the 3 communication superpowers. Let's take them one more time. Energy, empathy, clarity. I put empathy on top because for me, that is the priority. That is the number 1. Using this one. Actually, this is how I believe it works from a flow perspective. You start here with empathy, understanding your customer, and then you move yourself here to make sure that your message is clear, and then you deliver it with the right kind of energy. That is the best flow you can get when it comes to using the 3 superpowers. But here's the thing. You have to balance them. You cannot be only good at one and then not at the other 2. Let's say that you are high on clarity, very high on clarity, but you have no empathy. What kind of a salesperson are you now? You're a manipulating psychopath. You might be able to sell once, but you will not have a sustainable, longer relationship with any clients. What if you have high energy, but you lack clarity? That's a recipe for a clown. How many of you want to be clowns? None. No one. Of course you don't want to be a clown. And finally, let's say that you have empathy, but you have no energy. Well, then you're not a salesperson, then you're a therapist. And unless you want to go into that field, you should probably keep that energy as well, and the clarity as well. By having all three of them, you're in a really, really good place. Everything I've said so far, every advice I've given, everything I've done even, all the things I'm talking about here will increase your charisma. And if it increases your charisma, it increases your influence. If it increases your influence, it increases your impact and your sales. But I have 3 bonus tips for you if you want. Do you want 3 more bonus tips on charisma? Yes. I'm going to give it to you as well. Let's see if we can get there here. 3 ones, showing them all at the same time. First one, be bold. Be self-confident. You will find a lot of speakers coming after me talking about this, I think. Being kind of the challenger. Not going in there saying, yes, please, but also saying, I know things that you don't know and I can help you with it. Be bold, be self-confident. I told you before, in the very beginning, I can train you and coach you to be more charismatic. It's a bold statement. I believe in it. I can. So be bold. This increases your charisma. Second, ask rhetorical questions. Ask questions. Why should you ask questions? Because if you do, the client, the customer, and in this case you, will start thinking about what is the answer, what is the answer? And when you give the answer, you actually give them a reward, a dopamine rush in their brains, and they will say, thank you. Or as one of our colleagues said in the business, the best presenter is also the biggest drug dealer. By giving that all the time. And I think I've probably asked you like 5-10 times already today on these few minutes, a couple of questions about why, how can we, and so on. And finally, use lists. People like lists. You see it all the time when you read a magazine, if it's the top 10 thing, or the top 7, or the 7 steps, or the 5, whatever. People like that. So why not use it? And today, I've given you 3 communication superpowers: energy, empathy, clarity. And then you got 3 tips on clarity specifically: metaphors, storytellings, the power of 3. And finally, you got 3 extra tips now on how to, again, increase that possibility of being more charismatic. Now it's up to you to decide if you want to use it for the greater good or for your own ego. Because with everything like this, it's a two-edged sword. You decide yourself. But I can tell you, I've been around for quite a while. I started to look into this 30 years ago. I'm that old. And if I would summarize everything I've learned, not only on sales and sales management, but also on leadership and communication and motivation and engagement, I would summarize it in one word, what I think makes the biggest difference. And it's this: care. Care for your clients, care for your colleagues, care for the whole planet. And if you do, I got your back. You got this. My name is Antoni Lacinai. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you.